Hello and welcome to Come the Revolution, a new podcast wherein I, Rob Hughes, will be talking to a different guest each episode and placing them in a post-revolution world of which they have total control. Will they ban cars and insist we all use public transport? Will they insist on banning vegetable crisps? In this episode, I'll be talking to musician and luthier Rob Koo. So for the foreseeable future, this is his world, and we just live in it. So please welcome your king, your leader, your lord of the manor, Mr. Rob Koo. Okay, welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me in your world.
In my crazy world.
Thank you for allowing me to exist and not lining me up against the wall. Who would you line up against the wall? Would you line anyone up against the wall, I should say?
Well, I am a pacifist.
Okay.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. But there are some people that would probably be on my list. It's the usual suspects, isn't there, really? I mean, there's all the dictators in the world and that sort of thing.
Rob lists the various members of his family.
No, I like the members of my family. Well, most of them.
Okay.
There's one or two. But I'm a big old lefty.
You're a big old lefty.
I'm a big old lefty, and yes, there would be all the gammons, I think, actually, to be honest.
So you would put people against the wall?
I would put them against the wall, then give them a bloody good talking to. But I would verbally abuse them as opposed to physically abusing or killing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So you're in total control, Rob. It's day one.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
Wow, he was talking about public transport and things earlier. Mm-hmm. And I have never learned to drive.
Okay.
I have bought a car.
Okay.
For my ex-wife.
Right.
But I've never actually learned to drive. And I go everywhere on my bicycle. And I go back and forth across town a few days a week. And I do use the bike lanes. It's very good in Cardiff these days.
Right.
Surprisingly. The Socialist Republic of Wales is good for this sort of thing.
Okay, so where does this leave us car drivers? Are we out of the cars?
I would say enforced education for car drivers. You often see discussions about cyclists, and then people pop up who are car drivers, and they say, "Well, cyclists running red lights and that sort of thing."
Yes,
and
yes, they do. They get a lot of bad press.
That. I would argue that more red lights are jumped by car drivers.
Probably.
On a daily basis. And there's also there's a bit of a disparity between a bicycle running into somebody against a car running into somebody. Consequences.
Yes, definitely a car is more of a lethal weapon than a bicycle.
I don't think I've ever run
and
somebody
there's
over
less
in my
comedy
bike.
value in being hit by a car than being hit by a bicycle.
I don't think you can ever come across funny, can I? Unless you get hit by a clown car. And then the wheels fell off and a puff of smoke came out of it or something like that. But I would make car drivers enforce them for a week to ride around their local area on bicycles. That's all they can do for a week. They're not allowed to use any other form of transport.
Presumably there are exemptions.
There are exemptions for people who are unable to ride a bike.
Okay. They have to stay at home?
They have to work out other ways of getting to places. They have to use public transport.
Okay.
I'd say.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah, people with disabilities, people who've never learned to ride a bike, but I think most people...
What about people like me who just hate other people?
No, that doesn't count. That's not an exemption. You still have to get on your bicycle, and it would give people such a better understanding, I think, not just for cycling in particular, but for looking out for more vulnerable people than you around you.
Okay, so we're talking about decreasing the use of private transport.
Yes.
And increasing the use of manually powered transport.
Sustainable transport.
Okay, with a view to not just increasing people's fitness and making the roads safer, but you think it would potentially improve society because we'd all become a bit more self-aware?
I think so. Well, I am half continental, and I've been to the continent quite a bit. And in Holland and Belgium, there is kind of an unwritten rule there that on the roads you give way to people who are smaller and more vulnerable than you.
Okay.
And it's not a law as such, but the way it works is if you're in a lorry, you would let the cars go in front of you. If you're in a car, you would let the bicycles go in front of you, and if you're on a bicycle, you let the pedestrians go in front of you.
I'm going to counter. I think one of the smallest vehicles on the road at the moment is the scooter.
The scooter.
And yes. I have very little compassion for the scooter boys.
No. It's
particularly those with balaclavas.
or hoods over their baseball caps. Yeah. That sort of thing. I think it's a passing fad, the scooter, isn't it? I can't see it.
Bloody hope so.
I can't see it. It's like those weird hoverboard things that people had for a while.
Segways.
Are they like segways? You know the ones I mean.
Yeah.
You stand on it and then
they never hovered, but they called them hoverboards. No, they didn't hover. They were called segways.
And you could cruise down the pavement on those at 10 miles an hour smoking a bifter.
The cheap ones would burst into flames.
You get it from the catalogue or something like that.
Merry Christmas, Kevin. Mum, my legs are on fire.
But the scooters, I think, are probably a bit more of a passing fad, whereas bicycles have been around now for, how long now? 130, 140 years or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of people still hate them, which is...
I think bring back the penny farthing. That'll slow everyone down.
I had to go on a penny farthing once.
Did you?
Yeah, I got about 3 feet and fell off. It was a lot more difficult than it looked, actually.
Yes.
So
I watched a YouTube video on how to mount and dismount, and I don't think I'll ever
be
given it a go.
What about the penny farthing? Oh!
Very good. Okay, so we're whizzing round on a... Well, we're not whizzing, we're riding around sensibly.
Yes.
Looking out for each other.
We are, yeah.
I do think you've taken a very optimistic view of human nature here.
I mean, the rules is the danger that it's going to produce a whole new wave of angry cyclists.
Yes, I suppose. I think so, and just people cutting each other up on bikes and ringing bells instead of blowing horns.
Mounting air horns on their bikes and that sort of thing, and possibly rotating knives coming out of the wheels. But
okay, it's your world. I'm just living in it. Okay, we'll go with that. What else are you going to change?
I'm going to have a good think now.
Okay. Well, you've only had 2 weeks to prepare.
Well, I was thinking earlier about there was a gentleman who ran the country of Turkmenistan for many years. Yes, his name was Turkmenbashi, which means King of the Turkmen. And Turkmenistan is a country. It's one of those places, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's hot and it's got oil.
Does it still exist?
It does still exist, no. It's a very hot place, and it's got a lot of oil and therefore a lot of money, and he became dictator of this place.
And what's it called? Turkmenistan?
Turkmenistan.
And he is the...
He was the dictator that ran the place. And
the Turkmenistan.
Well, he used his powers in completely random ways. Right. And they weren't... He wasn't like some of the Russian dictators.
He makes him sound like a superhero.
His laser vision was highly thought of. One of the things he did was he changed the names. I think it was the names of the days of the week to the names of his family.
Okay.
And I'm sure he changed the name.
I don't know that I've got enough family to do that.
But I think he changed the name of the word for bread to the name of his mother. Something like that. He banned beards.
It's the best thing since sliced mum.
He banned beards. He created lots of lovely public holidays. Like, Melon Day. Because he was particularly proud of the country's melons. And carpets as well.
This just to clarify.
Not his mum's melons, obviously.
Watermelons.
That would be terrible.
Wow. Turkmenistan,
look him up.
And his name was what?
Turkmenbashi.
Turkmenbashi.
King of the Turkmen.
So, I'm going to sound really ignorant here. Is Turkmen a name, or is everybody from that area called a Turkmen?
I think everybody is a Turkmen. Right, I think, anyway.
So I'm Welshman Rob.
Citation needed, I think, for this one.
Okay. Turkmenbashi. I'll definitely be Googling him. What else did he do?
He built a giant statue of himself. I think it was 200 foot tall.
We've all done that, right?
This one was special, though. It was 200 feet tall.
Right.
And it constantly rotated, so it was always facing the sun.
On a rotating plinth.
On a giant rotating statue of yourself.
with the front side of it completely bleached.
Yeah, the backside slightly mossy.
Just like real life.
Of course, I'm not quite as egotistical as Tuman Bashi.
No. How big is your statue?
I mean,
just the 50 feet for me.
It's
I'm
easy.
not insane.
Yeah. It's easy to get carried away with stuff that makes you happy as a person, isn't it? So obviously, tax relief for musicians would be a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
Why should you have to pay VAT?
Tax relief for everyone.
Well, but more tax relief.
Yeah.
For musicians, because the joy we bring people.
Oh, imagine that, a world where people didn't talk about bankers' bonuses, but musicians' bonuses.
Musicians' tax perks.
Comedians' bonuses.
Entertainers making the world happy and making slightly more money.
Brilliant. I like it. That's probably an area we should discuss. Culture and entertainment.
Yes.
Are you a live and let live kind of guy, or are you going to put your foot down and say no more Harry Styles?
No, Harry Styles...
disclaimer, I've got no issue with Harry Styles. He was just the first person that came into my head.
I was very impressed with Harry Styles the other day, not because of his music, but because he sold out the stadium in Cardiff 2 nights in a row.
Yes.
Which is quite an achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, and I liked Harry Styles' last album. I think it's called Harry's House, I think.
I couldn't tell you anything about his music, unfortunately.
It's a good album.
I bet it is.
I was talking to somebody the other day, though, and I was debating quite hotly whether or not the songwriting credits are as valid as they might appear to be.
It's often a point of discussion amongst bands, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
My personal feeling was that it was such a good album, and he's such a young person and relatively inexperienced.
Yes.
I know he's had his One Direction life
thing
behind him.
How many years ago was that, though?
But that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
But he's still quite a young man, and he's just. It just seems odd to me that this previously dormant talent has emerged from nowhere and has this incredible ability to do these things. I guess it can happen, but my feeling is that he was in the room while the songs were written,
while the man played something on the piano, and he said
he opened his mouth, and he was involved to varying degrees for each song, I imagine. But I just can't accept that he has sole songwriting credits.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
where the money is, though. Songwriting credits. The long-term money.
Yeah, which is, again, the conversation I had with a friend of mine. I said, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the conversation went something like, we're going to put my name on the credits, but we are going to pay you a handsome amount.
Yes.
You don't have to take it. You can try and sell your song somewhere else if you want.
Yeah.
And they decided to take the 250 grand or whatever it was.
It's a difficult choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you were a jobbing musician, would you like this £250,000?
Yeah, probably not that difficult. Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's a choice that will force you to carry resentment for the rest of your life, I expect. But also have a healthy bank balance.
I think so. Yeah, I could live with that.
But anyway, so are we letting this happen? Are we letting everyone listen to what they want to listen to?
Absolutely. No, I think that's very important. I mean, people, from the way I look, people assume I'm just into heavy rock. For the benefit of the listeners, I have long hair and tattoos. But I go to the opera. I play.
He's lying. He's a Tibetan monk.
I go to the opera. I love the opera.
Okay.
I play guitar in a soul band.
Okay.
A rather popular.
What the band called?
The Bayside Boogeymen.
The Bayside Boogeymen.
Yeah. Popular local soul band. I've played all sorts of stuff. I've played folk
coming soon
music.
to an area near you.
Come to bars and clubs.
An area near you. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Define area.
Yeah. All areas are near you. Depends what area you're in.
Oh, no, I, from the point of being a musician, and I'd like to think of myself as creative, the more exposure I have to different noises of any kind
Okay,
is a positive thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think, well, people do say that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and I do think that a lot of people, or at least some people, given the opportunity to control public consumption of art, would probably be a little less tolerant and a little less...
I think a lot of people would try and ban country and western or something.
Yes,
No,
yes.
I've done a country and western gig recently. I've done a couple. I wore my cowboy boots and a mariachi jacket.
Yeah, I think there's room. I don't even know what that is. Is it one of the ones with the little twirls on the back?
It's got swirly bits, yeah.
And sometimes tassels.
It has got little chains on there and stuff, yeah.
I think there's room for all genres. I don't know that the world has ever been hugely negatively affected by the existence of a single song. I've certainly been to some parties that have been negatively affected by the playing of certain songs.
It's a dangerous thing, isn't it? When people used to try and fight over the CD player.
Yes.
And then the floor would end up littered with CDs back in the day.
Let me put something more melancholic on. Novelty songs?
It's all fine, honestly. It's fine. I love all music. I don't love all music. And you often see these people, don't you? And they're ranting on about particular bands. And I have had the odd rant about bands that I don't like. Duran Duran.
Oh, I love Duran Duran.
No.
Why?
Well, just no. I grew up in the 80s, I think. It was that sort of bland, manufactured rock.
That was Simon Le Bon, wasn't it?
That was Simon Le Bon.
Yeah.
I met his auntie once.
Hungry Like the Wolf?
That one.
Yeah.
And the other one with boats. There was a boat, wasn't
Rio?
That was that the boat one?
I think so.
Yeah.
Her name is Rio, and she dances on the sand.
No, she doesn't. She's just made up.
Not to Duran Duran, she doesn't.
I think I'm kind of against that whole bland corporate rock thing.
Okay.
Honestly.
I never. Oh, my son went to Coldplay. It was his first concert.
Oh dear.
He loved it.
Did he? I mean, it's great that he's out enjoying live music. I think it's good to get people. How old's your son now?
15.
It's great to get people into watching live.
It was just part of his birthday present. It was a ticket to Coldplay. Chucked him in a taxi.
Off you go, son. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
No, he did enjoy it. He made me laugh. He revised the songs like they were exams before he went. He listened to the entire Coldplay back catalogue.
Well, I'd say I am definitely not a Coldplay fan, and I think it was the Thursday after those. They did 2 nights as well, didn't they? Mm-hmm. 150,000 people in Cardiff again watching Coldplay, and I was down at a local open mic night on the Thursday, where we play all sorts of stuff. There's an incredible sort of roster of amazing musicians who play all sorts of stuff down there, and people can come up and do songs with us if they want. That's the whole point of an open mic. And a young fella.
That's never happened at a comedy open mic night.
No. Imagine what that would be like.
Come up and tell some jokes with me.
Well, this nice young man came up. He was about 20 or something, and he bought his guitar with him, and he's with his dad, and he said, "Can I do some songs?" And we were like, "Yeah, of course you can." And he said, "What do you want to play?" And he said, "Can I do Coldplay? Just do Coldplay songs, because I saw them the other night, and I think they're amazing." And we were all looking at each other going...
Ross said, "This is my world!"
No, we all thought that.
Up against the wall!
we all thought that. We were all pulling faces at each other. But then we realised that he's there, and he's never played with a band before. And his dad was there, and he was filming him. And then... so we had to...
And what was he playing?
I don't know what any of the bloody Coldplay songs are.
No, what instrument was he playing?
Guitar.
Right, okay.
But, I mean, I kind of half recognised some of them. I just, played along. And it went on for a bit. And then we said, "Why don't you do some on your own now, acoustic?" And then we all went out the beer garden for a bit. And I came back and he was still going.
We all went out in the beer garden for 90 minutes.
No, it was lovely, actually. His dad was super chuffed. He had a great time. And afterwards he was like, "Oh, I've never played with a band of professional musicians before."
Oh, I love him.
So,
do you see? We still haven't.
Well, I wasn't getting paid that much. The others were, I think.
Oh. No, you are professional. I'm only teasing.
Oh,
I don't want to go up against the wall.
No. So yeah, Coldplay are going up, but they would go up against the wall for a stern talking to.
Okay.
I think. Also Muse.
And some career redirection. So I'm sorry, lads. You're working on the bins.
Go and do something useful.
Yeah. Oh God.
Muse.
What about Muse?
They needed talking to.
But, all right. I don't think I know Muse.
Yeah.
90s band.
Yeah. Showing off.
Showing off with your music.
Showing off with your music and sounding like Queen. But I love Queen.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Queen are one of my favourite bands.
A lot of people don't.
This is true.
I've only recently kind of discovered this through the advent of social media, because everybody I spoke to growing up loved Queen.
Yes.
And everybody had at least one Queen album, probably Queen's greatest hits, Fat Bottom Girls, etc. But now I see people describe... I saw one chap who I have a lot of respect for. He described Queen as music for people who don't really like rock music.
How dare he?
I know.
Does he not know anything about Queen?
That's what I thought. It's they were trailblazers.
They were.
Groundbreakers.
They were. Metallica covered a Queen song. Stone Cold Crazy, I believe.
Okay.
And so, they've got, obviously, important metal types like them.
I used to have that box set, The Works.
Yes.
And then they brought out a new album.
Yeah.
So it was redundant. So.
So the Works up till now.
Yeah.
Other albums may be released in brackets.
Trying to squeeze out more albums into this box.
I've got quite a few on vinyl, actually, out there.
I don't own any vinyl. All of my vinyl ended up being sold to Cardiff Market to buy other things.
He's probably made a mint of them, going by the prices that they charge
probably,
up there. Yeah.
I was quite an avid collector as a kid. I used to have all these Pink Floyd picture disc interviews. Yeah.
I've got a good few hundred albums out there and some nice record players.
What would you do with the guy who runs the second-hand record store who effectively steals your prized possession?
He's coining it in, isn't he? I mean, I don't tend to buy stuff. I'd ask him to reduce his prices, I think. Actually.
You're not just shutting him down?
No, it's great that people are into vinyl. I am an audio nerd.
I don't think I'm going to see, apart from the traffic, I don't think I'm going to see a huge change in your world.
Musicians will be happier.
Is there anything I'm going to see taken off the shop shelves?
Well, I used to be a chef, amongst other things, and I still cook every day for myself.
When you say you used to be a chef?
A professional chef.
So a paid chef?
A professional chef for many years, yeah. I cooked for
So effectively you're still a chef?
I guess so. I always think chef is somebody who's doing it for money at that moment. This is a fine distinction. I cooked for Prince Philip once.
Could you apply that logic to anything, though?
I suppose so. Ex-professional chef.
If you're a writer, if Stephen King stopped writing books, he'd still be a writer.
Would he? Yes.
You're still a chef.
I wasn't the Stephen King of chefing, sadly. I cooked for Prince Philip once.
Okay.
I cooked his lunch.
He was the older fella.
The old fella with the big ears.
The Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, the little one.
Yeah.
He was quite old at the time.
The late... No,
he is dead.
He
died before the Queen.
The Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, Prince Philip.
Well, it confuses me by having too many bloody names.
The Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, the Duke of Edinburgh. Yes,
that one.
The racist.
That one. Yeah. I wasn't a massive fan of his, to be honest, as you can probably imagine, as I'm of mixed race origin. Did
he mention that, or did he not know?
I wasn't allowed to go and talk to him, but my ex-wife served him because she used to do like silver service stuff.
Okay.
And I cooked a lovely lunch for him. Lamb shank.
Lamb shank.
He had a lamb shank in the hospital.
I hope he washed his hands.
And
he ate it in a hospital.
In the dental hospital.
Right, talk me through it, Rob. Why are you cooking in a dental hospital?
Okay,
why is
so
he there?
I used to work in it was I was going to call it the players' dining room. That was in the cricket club. The doctor's dining room.
Okay.
There was like a private restaurant in the Heath Hospital, which was run by a friend of mine, and all the staff used to come down there because they didn't like hospital food. Obviously, nobody does. So we cooked them nice food down there every lunchtime, and then word came that Prince Philip was coming to reopen, as it were, the dental hospital, because he did the initial opening back in like 1970 something. And they went round all the NHS chefs, said, who wants to cook for Prince Philip? And they were like, not bloody likely. What's the point? Do I get paid more?
Yeah.
No. And then it basically came down to us at the bottom of the pile.
I'm actually surprised that more people didn't take that opportunity.
Everybody said no, I think, apart from us, because...
But the things you could have done to that food.
There was people with
What
guns.
an anecdote.
Oh, that Prince Philip, yeah. I slipped some razor blades in his lamb shank.
I was thinking of something slimier.
Or ricin, or something like that. But it came down to us, and me and my mate who ran the thing, and we were like, should we do it? And he went, yeah, it'd be a laugh, wouldn't it? So that was about as much planning as we did. And then, it was about him and about 10 of his cronies. Okay. I guess the Lord Lieutenant of Glamorgan was there.
Ah,
what's his name?
The old king of alliteration.
Yeah, Norman Lloyd Edwards.
Norman Lloyd Edwards, the Lord Lieutenant of Glamorgan.
Yeah, he was there. And some other people. They're all old and posh.
Okay.
So did a nice lunch.
So my kind of people.
I don't know.
I found my tribe.
They were all, yes, they probably had gin every day in the afternoon, that sort of thing.
Okay.
You know, played, I don't know, possible croquet.
Drinking sherry at the Stag's Head.
Yeah, banning the women from the drawing room and that sort of thing, so they can talk business.
So you cooked him a lamb shank?
Lamb shank, new potatoes.
Well, you wouldn't give him old potatoes.
No, he was
the Duke of Edinburgh, for God's sake.
Yeah, he wouldn't like that. And green beans and something else. Very simple, you know, and I think pecan pie for pudding, which my friend made. So anyway, we were going to put some drinks on
Is that
them.
for the alliteration? Pecan pie for pudding.
Yeah.
Lord, what's his name?
Norman Lloyd Edwards.
And he was the Lord
Lieutenant of Glamorgan. Or was he the High Sheriff? It was something. It was one of those ridiculous made-up titles.
Pecan pie pudding for the Lord Lieutenant of Glamorgan.
Yeah, or the High Sheriff of something like that. And so we were deciding what drinks to put on, and we were like, "Well, what do you? What? We've got no reference for this."
Blue Nun.
Lambrini.
Yeah.
WKD.
Hock. Oh, well, let me tell you. I digress a minute.
Yeah,
I'll tell you this quick story. It's probably not something I should laugh at, but it did make me laugh. I was in Sainsbury's at the bottom of Queen Street once. I don't think that's still there, isn't it?
It is still there. Yeah.
And all credit to this shop assistant. She was treating this guy with no differently to anybody else. He was clearly homeless. He was clearly drunk. And he clearly had a very limited budget. And he was asking for advice on wines. And she was talking to him about what wine goes with what food and whatnot. And they started off at the top and kind of worked their way down the bottom until they got to the kind of Lambrusco. And she said, "We've got this nice bottle of Hock." And he said, "I throws up on the Hock."
Oh, I can't have that, mate. Makes me bad.
I throws up on the Hock. But I think he went with the Lambrusco. But
it's the choice of the discerning.
Absolutely.
Alcoholic.
Absolutely.
No, we were thinking, like, what booze should we put on? So my boss went out and bought huge amounts of expensive booze, like nice wine, that sort of thing. And we were thinking, well, he's like a naval type, isn't he? So we looked at naval drinks and got things to make
rum, Navy rum,
and there was these various things with rum in, and the other bits as well, and we put all sorts of stuff on. There was a few beers down the end as well and stuff, and he came in and apparently he went down the whole line of drinks and it's jolly good. Got to the end and he said, "Oh, Newcastle Brown, lovely, I'll have a bit of that." So he did. He sat there he had a bottle of Newcastle Brown.
Oh, man after my own heart.
And a lamb shank.
Yeah.
In front of my ex-wife.
We are still talking about the food.
Yeah, of course. But I wasn't allowed in the room with him. Right. There was lots of people with the little curly wires coming in from behind their ear.
MI6.
Yeah, I get it. I guess so. And you knew they had guns. Probably multiple guns. I bet they had a spare gun tucked in their sock or something, because that's what they do, isn't it?
A gun in a sock. I'm not sure you could fit a gun in a sock unless they've got special kind of tiny James Bond type guns.
Walther PPK.
A what?
Walther PPK.
What's that?
That's the gun that James Bond had.
Oh, right, okay.
Very small one.
So, after the revolution,
Yes.
will there even be such a thing as MI6?
Who do they protect us against, exactly?
The Nazis?
Blofeld.
Blofeld. Putin? I don't know. Do they...
I'm not entirely sure what they do.
Am I damaging this when I...
No, you're fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
For the benefit of the tape, I'm asking about the rocking of the microphone. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what MI6... These are all kind of things that exist in other worlds, not my world, really.
But it's the Secret Service.
Yeah.
By its nature, we don't know what they do.
Have you ever known anybody who claims to have been approached by the Secret Service?
No, I don't move in those circles, unfortunately. But then, having said that, I probably would be really good undercover.
Yes.
But nobody would suspect me.
Maybe you're undercover now.
You don't know.
Maybe you're
do you?
so good you don't even know you're undercover.
I'm a sleeper. They'll play some signal over the telly later, and I'll turn into a killing machine.
The Manchurian Candidate. Yeah. Are you going to have a Secret Service?
I reckon they've got a lot of transferable work skills.
Okay.
They must have, haven't they?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, so there's probably better things they could be doing.
I know one person who claims to have been approached by MI5 or MI6 or CIA or something like that.
What happened?
They said no. They didn't want to do it.
Well, you think they said no. That's what they told you.
I think if they wanted to go undercover, they probably just wouldn't have mentioned it at all.
No. You've got a point.
But I did believe this person because she was a girl, and they tend to be less full of shit. Because it sounds like a kind of bullshit story when your mates would tell, doesn't it? Yeah, I was approached by MI5. I told them to fuck off. No, she was a student. She was a Cambridge student.
I was going to say, do you have to be in public school or go to Oxbridge or something?
Yeah, she wasn't public school. She was. I don't think she was anyway. She was more of a friend of a friend, but she was quite sort of down to earth girl, but she was very, very bright. And she said that she was approached by one of these organisations. It was a long time ago, so I can't remember exactly which one. But it was a long time ago, and she said she was approached by them, and she said, no, that's not the lifestyle for me.
I suppose everybody thinks the Secret Service is basically just going around being an assassin and drinking martinis, don't they?
Yeah.
I reckon a lot of it is probably
I think it's
spreadsheets.
It's a lot duller than that, I think.
It's filing and things like that, isn't it? And listening to very long phone conversations.
Yeah, I think for every one Jason Bourne, there's probably a million sort of desk jockeys.
I've always fancied myself as a covert assassin.
Have you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm very clumsy and a pacifist.
Okay. Yeah, that's not great.
That would go against me, and I've got a bad knee now.
That's Inspector Clouseau, really, isn't it?
It would be a bit like that. Oh, I've got a bad knee and I'm a bit deaf, and I might get the names of
your assassin days are over, Clou.
I missed my chance.
Yeah, you've missed your window.
Yeah, never mind.
Who would you have taken out?
Oh, there's so many people again. Oh no, I'm just going to give people a good talking to, aren't I?
What's up to you? It's your world.
Putin could do with a bullet in the head, couldn't he, at the moment? Although people appear to be encroaching on Moscow as we speak.
You can be my newspaper, because I read a little bit about this morning, and I don't know much else about it.
Well, Putin, in his wisdom, employed a man who runs a mercenary army to go and invade Ukraine.
Right.
Largely made up of criminals and murderers and stuff. And the man who's head of the mercenary army is upset with the way that Putin's treated his
I think I'm
troops.
ahead of you. I think.
Yeah. And he's turned on him, and he's seized a town somewhere in Russia. And
I'll employ this guy. He seems like a trustworthy fellow.
Who would have thought that would go wrong?
He'll do my bidding.
Yeah, but this guy was previously known as Putin's chef.
Okay.
He was into catering, I think.
Like you.
Yeah, very much like me.
What's going on? All these parallels?
A bit fightier. And, so what they called the Wagner Group
Okay.
who is his 25,000 psychopathic mercenaries that he commands.
Well, Wagner, interestingly enough, was Hitler's favourite composer.
Stirring stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also in Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
Yeah. Fighty music.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Bit fighty. So, yeah, they are literally, talking about marching on Moscow as we speak.
Oh, wow.
So this may never go out. There may be a nuclear war or something. We'll check that afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring the tone down.
Yeah. Rob's cheering us all up with tales of impending doom.
Yeah. But weirdly, the bloke who's in charge of all the nutters, professional killers, is upset with the way his professional killers are being treated. A
psychopath recruited a psychopath
and 24,999 of his friends.
Yeah. And upset him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And now they're going to have some shouting.
Okay.
And tanks. And there are tanks are involved. And explosions.
As exciting as all that is, what happens when... I mean, I don't expect you to know the answer, but what do you think will happen if he was to take Putin out?
We'll have another loony in charge then, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, could he get much worse than Putin?
I think history has shown that they can be worse than Putin.
Stalin. I suppose. Well, yeah, Putin's not as bad as Stalin is damning with faint praise, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I suppose. But, what would happen?
Like, I mean, Putin living on one side of you and Stalin living on the other, and you say, well, this neighbour's not too bad.
He's got his good points. The one on the other side makes lovely Russian food.
The thing that gets me, though, is they both love Wagner.
Bloody blasting it out at all hours of the day. Can't get a minute's peace. Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
I'm trying to listen to Duran Duran.
Bloody Duran Duran, honestly.
Okay, so, but it's an interesting point. Stalin, Hitler, Putin, all examples of what happens when people have absolute power.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, Mr. Koo, have been very moderate in your tyranny.
I'm an old hippie.
Yeah.
There was something that Douglas Adams said once, that is that nobody who actually wants to be in power should be allowed to be in power.
I've often said the same thing.
So in one of his books, I think, the ruler of the universe ended up being this bloke who lived in a shed on his own with his cat.
I'm very suspicious of people who crave authority.
Yeah, they should never be allowed. Douglas Adams was a very wise man.
He was a wise man.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him recently. He'd never written science fiction. He was a bit reluctant to call Hitchhikers science fiction.
Really?
Yeah. He said he'd never written it, but I think in order to kind of start with nothing, it was the idea.
Yeah.
So he had to kind of put Arthur Dent in this position where nothing was familiar. And it was it was an interesting interview, but I think he's right. People who crave absolute control over things would be lunatics by nature.
It's never gone well, has it? I mean, there's the fringe benefits like the trains. You could say the same about the British Empire, couldn't you? Mm-hmm. Really?
My favourite tyrant in history is probably Lord Baron Silas Greenback.
From Danger Mouse?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that? I heard it was actually based on a true story.
He wasn't Lord Baron, was he? Just Baron.
No,
Baron
but it was based on true events.
Was it?
Danger Mouse. Based on real life characters.
I thought you meant that Baron Silas Greenback could be based on a real person. I've met a few Greenbacks. I've not met many Danger Mice.
You wouldn't see them, would you? Secret Service again.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
See? He had an eye patch, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
That's a good look for a secret agent.
Yeah,
makes you a bit conspicuous.
Precisely. Look at Penfold.
Yeah.
Now, he blended in.
That's what they're all like, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what they're really like. Yeah, Penfold.
Yeah.
There's for every one Danger Mouse.
Lots of people with thick glasses doing the filing behind them.
So consumables.
Yes.
In the world we live in now, I think it's fair to say some things are available to some and other things are available to everyone. And we see a lot of unfairness, I think, because people get priced out. I was listening to something this morning about the link between poverty and obesity.
Yes.
So, are you going to tackle this? Are you going to address the issue of what people eat? Are you going to insist that people be good to themselves, or are you just going to?
It's something that I have done in work before. Is trying to educate people about healthy eating.
Okay.
And lifestyle. I mean, it's easy. We are a fairly middle class pair of people, aren't we?
Me?
Much. Well, fairly. I certainly am.
I'm outraged.
You were making an Indo-Chinese curry last night.
Is that middle class?
Yes.
I think that's a modern.
Unless
isn't
you live in Indochina. In this case, it's probably working class.
I don't know. I have a real issue with this. I have a real issue because I was not raised middle class at all. I don't have a middle class income. I don't think.
Well, me neither. Yeah.
I don't live in a middle class area. I think I have some middle class values.
Yes. Yeah. In that sense, yeah.
Although I'm kind of reluctant to say that because I think that suggests that working class people don't have good values, and I think that they do.
I'm not saying it's good or bad, your middle class values.
Okay.
But I observe.
Don't judge me.
I observe them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's for argument's sake, let's say that I'm middle class.
It's easy. I don't know. There's so many things tied up in it, isn't there? There's lack of education. There's the cultural thing, and just what people's tastes are, what they've grown up with. You know.
But I try to get my kids to eat well.
Yeah.
My eldest son will eat pretty much anything I put in front of him. My youngest son won't even touch it.
Does he eat mostly beige food?
But yeah, nuggets, waffles, just drowns everything in ketchup.
Yes.
I find it quite depressing to see him eat because there's no joy in it. He eats curry.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't eat the Thai curry that I made. He'll eat an Indian curry.
Wrong colour.
Yeah. You have to take the vegetables out. So it's literally just chicken. I leave the onion in. That's about all because I'm not that nice. I'm not going to pick that out. He generally leaves the onion. It's bizarre. I give him these opportunities. This is where your tyranny might have to come in because he's not going to do it through choice.
If you force people to eat healthier food, though, are they going to rebel against it? How would you force them to eat it?
You're a terrible tyrant.
You would have to. I know. You'd have to take away, I suppose, access to all the rubbish.
Yes.
I mean, I can't stand junk food.
This is what I'm talking about, though, Rob.
I can't stand junk food. I think
it's your world.
Okay, right. Well, chain junk food.
Okay. What is chain junk food? Okay.
The other ones, I don't eat it. You see.
Okay. When you edit it, you may have to bleep that bit out because they are notoriously litigious.
Really?
Yeah. I did a thing on the radio once, and I made a joke about them, and they cut it out.
Them which won't be mentioned anymore.
Yes, they who will not be named.
Well,
the Voldemort of the food chain.
There are a number, aren't they? The ones that the French people didn't they drive a muck spreader into one of them? Literally.
Did they?
And turned it on.
That's appropriate. A muck spreader.
Yeah. No, they did some sort of silage sprayer or something.
Right.
I think they either sprayed the outside of the building or actually drove it in and then turned it on. Because they were upset about the same sort of thing.
Improve the food.
What other junk food is available?
Yes.
To be fair.
I would beep it out, though, because they...
that's gonna go. It's
just beep them.
I don't mind cheap food. I don't mind cheap, what I would call dirty food.
You can eat well for little money. Yeah. My mate Chris was talking last night about his £1 slimming meals.
What do
He
you
makes.
get? What do you get for £1?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Half a potato these days.
We will ask him because he said he'd like to be a guest on this.
Oh, there we go. We'll ask him that time. Make a note of that. I think people profiting from, or large corporations profiting from pushing
Yeah.
unhealthy food on people, which is something
Things
the
with
government are talking.
lots of sugar in, lots of salt,
Lots of fat.
What's this thing? Aspartame.
Aspartame,
Yeah.
I think. Artificial
It's
sweetener.
not part of me.
No, no. That sort of stuff gives me heartburn. I think it's because I don't eat it very often. When I do eat it,
It's like a saccharin, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. I can't stand it. It leaves a horrible aftertaste in my mouth.
yeah. But making huge amounts of money from this terrible food and destroying rainforests.
So I think we're in agreement that anybody who puts preservatives or aspartame into food deserves to be shot.
Yes. Oh, closed down, certainly.
Yeah. That's a bit of a leap.
Closed down. And it is possible.
I'm trying to gently nudge you into tyranny.
Into murder. I mean, there's the argument, isn't it, that, but it's so cheap and I can feed my children.
It's not
meal.
It's not murder if they deserve to die, though.
No, it's just an execution.
Punishment,
then, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, okay, well, we'll do that then.
Punishment killing.
Yeah. I mean, without going into the whole deforestation of the Amazon and things like that and exploiting the
That's
local
important
people.
stuff. It's what was I watched that show on Netflix, Big Timber.
I've not heard of this.
They're foresters,
Uh,
timber merchants, and my God, it looks like hard work.
Don't they have those giant robot machines now?
They do have giant robot machines, but they also have to sort of go out on the boats and rip the fallen logs out and things that have been taken down by storms and chain them up and drag them into the water.
I'm guessing death is a constant.
I haven't seen anyone
worry.
die on it yet.
Being squashed by a log.
I think serious injury is a constant worry.
Yeah.
You could die if you were silly, I suppose. But they're
Larking about.
They're quite they're quite careful.
High spirits in the logging fields.
Yeah,
That
it's
sort
a
of
good show. It's a good show. But then this is what I tend to do. I tend to watch things on Netflix and other streaming services that are slightly off the beaten track.
Yeah.
I think I watched a thing, Barbecue Pit Monsters, Pit Masters.
Pit monsters.
Pit Monsters. Pit Masters with the aim of one day having a barbecue myself that is a little bit more adventurous than wings and sausages.
There was a very good barbecue restaurant in Bury for many years.
In Barry? Was there?
Hangfire Barbecue.
Oh, yes. Yes, there was, yeah.
Now sadly gone.
Yeah.
Voted best restaurant in the country in the Observer.
Yeah, the two ladies that went travelling.
Friends of mine.
Are they?
Yeah.
They've got a place in Cardiff now, haven't they?
I'm not sure what they're doing. They've mostly been on TV.
Not great friends, then.
They are good friends of mine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, get them round.
Get them around your house and show you what to do.
We can watch an episode of Pit Monsters.
They love that, probably. I bet they've seen it.
Yeah, I bet they have.
Yeah. They've got smokers made out of barrels and stuff.
I could never get a table there.
No, it was too popular.
It was always booked out.
It was always too
advance.
popular. I did manage to get reservations there because I knew them.
Despite my status as one of Wales's most prominent up and coming rising comics.
Yeah. And bon viveur.
Yeah, bon viveur. Yeah. If I told them I'd known a luthier.
I have had a jam with them on the guitar.
Have you?
Yeah. So they know I'm a musician.
Do you want to explain for the people or the person that's listening
What luthier?
What a luthier is?
It's just a very posh way of saying somebody who repairs and makes instruments. So for the benefit of the listeners, we are in quite a small house. 2 up, 2 down, and there's about 25 guitars here. And numerous amplifiers and keyboards and stuff.
If anything, he's underestimating.
I think there's quite a few. But I do, amongst other things, I repair electric guitars, mostly for people in acoustic guitars, and I build some custom stuff.
Okay. What are you going to do with these people who destroy instruments after a gig? Is that a good thing for a luthier? Or do you think it's sacrilege?
It's yours. I mean, they a lot of the time they are cheap sacrificial instruments. The guy from Kiss, I forget what his name is now, the guitarist.
You're destroying the magic.
It's part of the art, though, isn't it?
Is it Paul Stanley?
He was the bass player, wasn't he? Or was it Ace Frehley or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to switch to a cheap guitar for the song where he smashes it up at the end. And
Well, he would do, because he couldn't afford to. Couldn't possibly afford to destroy a...
The guitar tech always used to make sort of certain selective cuts with the saws on the back, so they exploded quicker.
God.
So, there was a thing on that Tarantino film that was filmed, Hateful Eight, that came out about.
The one Tarantino film I've not seen.
Well, there was a thing in that. It's set in Western America. Wild West America.
I've started watching it,
yes, it's very
but good. I've fallen asleep.
It's long and wordy, but that's Tarantino.
Yeah, and I always end up watching it late.
Yeah.
And half drunk. So.
Well, there was one scene in that where they picked up a guitar and smashed it as part of the scene.
Okay.
But he picked...
Did they have guitars back then?
They did. No, they go back a long way.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, kind of Victorian days, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, I know, medieval people had lutes.
I don't think we're going back that far.
Imagine that. Do you think they used to do that in medieval times? Smashing lutes up on the stage.
Well, what they
Rock
did...
and roll!
They were supposed to smash a prop guitar up, but instead they picked up a 1920s Martin acoustic, which is worth a lot of money. And
why the hell was that even on set?
I think, it was a mistake. And that got smashed up.
Oh, this sounds like urban myth to me.
No, it's true.
Why would the 1920s...
It was part of the set dressing.
But you get replicas, surely.
It's not the same, though, is it? If you're Tarantino.
You're not going to know.
Tarantino would.
Nerd.
If
he deserves it.
He is a big nerd, isn't he? He's a very good big nerd, but he is a big nerd.
Well, he's brought it on himself, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah. No, but if you want to smash them up, fine. Rock and roll behaviour. I'm all for that sort of thing. Okay. As long as you're not smashing up something that's irreplaceable.
Okay.
But I think generally people don't. I know Pete Townsend used to smash quite a lot of guitars up.
And what are we going to do with people who... I mean, first of all, let's look at the law.
Of?
Just the law in general.
Okay.
Now, I've often said that the law will eventually make criminals of us all.
Have you ever done anything illegal?
Yes. So, by which I mean that with changes in law, like, say for example, one hot potato at the moment is the anti-protesting law.
Yeah.
So, if protesting becomes illegal, then huge swathes of the British public will become criminals overnight.
I suspect a lot of the population of Britain is already a criminal in some very small way, or has been a criminal.
Yeah,
so,
people who smoke a bit of weed, or have shoplifted, or...
a little bit speeding in the car.
Yeah.
Going through a red light on your bicycle.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Is that illegal?
Yeah.
I didn't know laws apply to cyclists.
Oh!
You wouldn't have thought so.
Oh! Two-wheeled terrorists. But then, if they're already criminals, then making them a bit more criminal because you're protesting about stuff is no issue. Because it's not going to stop people protesting, is it?
Well, no, I mean, it seems a bit of a misnomer to me. It seems like counterintuitive.
Yes. If I was very angry about something and then somebody told me to definitely not do the thing, I would make me want to do it more.
I think only a real coward, or you will get people who perhaps have careers that hinge upon not having a criminal record.
Teachers, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
But High court judges.
Even in the care profession, you'll be aware, CBD checks, or they're not called DBS checks now.
Yes.
And people can be employed with criminal offences. It's at the discretion of the employer.
It depends on what the crime is.
Yeah.
And
well, of course,
if you admitted it before they did the DBS check.
So I think a cool employer would say, do you have a criminal record? And you say, yes, I protested against such and such.
Yeah.
And they would say, well, good for you. Welcome aboard.
I'd like to think that my employer would be up with that.
Yeah,
Or down with that, even.
I think any good employer would.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Say you're protesting against a war somewhere.
except maybe the government.
Yeah. Protesting against wars.
Yeah.
Or maybe global catastrophes. I think that's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Even if it's technically illegal.
So we can agree that some laws are made to be broken.
Yes.
Some laws aren't, I would
No.
say. What are you going to do with persistent offenders? You're giving them a good talking to. They're paying no bloody attention
What
to
sort
you.
of offence are we talking about now?
Oh,
I mean, persistent murderers.
for the 10th time.
I told you. How many times do I have to tell you? Stop murdering.
I mean, yeah, you could take something as extreme as that, but say something that someone's a bit of a public menace and they keep driving at 70 miles an hour in a 30 mile an hour zone.
They'd have to get a ban. That's dangerous.
Is it?
It is. That's dangerous.
Of course it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. No. I'm not a fan of...
You're banning them.
I'm banning them.
But
Re-education.
they're still driving.
Also as well. Well, there we go. Fines, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
You'd have to lock them up eventually. I mean, the cars can be killing machines, can't they? Obviously.
They can.
You know, I'm not sure how many people die on the roads every year these days. Less than it used to be.
Yes.
Back in the good old day when you're going to have 4 pints
Yeah.
and drive your car with no seatbelt on.
5 and drive.
Yeah, exactly. It was fine. And only some people died as opposed to all the people. So,
I guess what I'm asking you is, what is your cut-off point at which you take somebody's freedom away?
if it's a persistent danger to life, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That has to be something. And I'm not against cars as things. Some
No.
cars I quite like. I say I don't drive. One of my secret pleasures is watching drag racing,
All right. Okay.
which is a surprise to
Not
me.
RuPaul.
Not RuPaul. No, noisier
Okay.
and more in a straight line. And in fact, I'm going to go and watch drag racing on my birthday in a couple of weeks' time.
Have you seen The World's Fastest Indian?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard of it?
With Tony
Hopkins.
Hopkins. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I should watch that. I like that sort of
It
thing.
actually has someone in drag in it.
Does it?
Yeah.
There we go. I've seen people in drag being the crew for drag races,
Okay.
which works on my
Is that just a clerical error?
It was a knowing in joke.
Okay.
I think it was very good. So I'm not against cars. I think people who use cars to have fun and drive on circuits and stuff, fantastic. Tinker on your car, lovely.
Okay.
The concept of private car ownership is the thing, and the fact that people see it as a human right to be able to drive in their cars wherever they want and as fast as they want.
I've been better. I've started walking to my allotment.
How far's your allotment?
It's very close.
You ought to carry a spade or something.
I did used to drive, but it probably takes me about 10 minutes to walk to my allotment.
I think that's doable.
It is doable.
Well, I ride my bike to my allotment.
The reason I was reluctant to walk to my allotment was because I was down there one day and my stomach started being a bit weird and I really needed a poo. And
Have you not got on-site toilet
there's
paper?
no toilets on the allotment.
I stash a loo roll in the shed.
Well, I may do that in future, but at this time I hadn't.
No.
And I was genuinely afraid and I had to phone my partner.
Did you have that
And-
gurgling
Yes.
and the pressure?
Yes.
Oh,
And like shooting pains in my
you don't
stomach.
know, do you?
No.
You don't know which way it's going to go.
And I had to phone my partner and ask her to come and collect me because I thought I was about to add to my own compost.
Was there anybody else on site at the time that could see you shitting on your own composting?
There was no one around, but there are houses that overlook the allotment, and
Yeah.
it's just not something I wanted.
No.
It was like
Unplanned
my
shitting
first
in
week
public.
there. It's not how I want. It's not how I wanted things to start. This guy's got some funny ideas.
But it's organic.
I won't be eating them sprouts.
Oh. No,
So-
it's the concept that so much money gets spent on people literally driving 10 minutes down the road.
That's fair enough.
Especially where I live, when I'm surrounded by shops and I'm half an hour's walk from the city centre.
I'm with you. I'm lazy. That's my problem. I'm very lazy, and I used to walk. I didn't start driving until I was 37, I think.
Oh, that's quite late.
Yeah, it was late, and that was only because I had children, and I felt I had to, really. Up until that point, I'd never really needed to, and never really wanted to. And what I did find was that I became quite fat very quickly when I started driving. I was like a whippet before.
Yeah, like a racing snake.
Yeah, because I used to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Never run. I used to walk everywhere, and I stayed thin. And then I started driving, and I just piled it on.
Paying money to get fat.
Yeah.
There's a meme, isn't there? And there's a picture of a car, and they say this one burns money and makes you fat. And there's a picture of a bicycle, and it says this one burns fat and saves you money.
That's good.
Memes, eh?
Yeah, good meme.
Yeah.
So what gets right under your skin?
Again, I'm going to steer away from the really obvious things like racism and any other isms.
Okay.
And I'm going to go for something I thought of earlier, which is Chinese takeaway serving terrible food.
Well, that's arguably worse than racism.
The thing is, because I've grown up eating authentic Chinese food as a child, I just want everybody else to experience that as well.
I've got no...
And the joy that it brings you.
See, I've got no position here. What about Chinese restaurants? Are they authentic?
Some of them are. And sometimes you have to ask for a special menu. There's 2 menus.
Is there?
Sometimes 3.
What?
There is.
Well, it's a bit racist not to tell you, isn't it?
If you ask them...
Don't tell the white guy.
Ask for the Chinese menu.
Will it be in Chinese?
Sometimes.
Oh, that's no good to me.
Sometimes there's an English version of the Chinese menu.
Oh, this is like Greek to me.
Sometimes there's what I refer to as the white person's menu.
Okay.
Which is,
You sure you're going to stay away from racism?
pork balls.
Pork balls to you too?
Sweet and sour things and all that stuff.
Okay.
You know, the classics.
My son loves, my beige son
Yeah.
loves, can you guess the one thing he loves most on the Chinese menu?
Pork balls?
Close. Chicken balls.
Chicken balls.
Yes.
In sweet and sour sauce?
Curry sauce.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's got the palate that he enjoys there, isn't it? It's not Chinese food, you see.
Okay.
And I remember saying this to people when I was younger. And they said, you should try some proper Chinese food. And they say, well, I go to the Chinese takeaway once a week. So that's not proper Chinese food. And people used to get angry when I said this. They said, well, of course it is. It's authentic. And I said, it really isn't. And he's like, but it's cooked by Chinese people. And it's like, well, no. They're cooking it, they've aimed it at you.
Cooked by white people. Sometimes.
Another thing I'm strongly against is where you get...
Don't forget to bleep that out as well.
Oh, another one.
No, that's not litigious.
Restaurants.
That's not litigious.
Chain restaurants that employ white people to cook Asian food.
Okay.
So, and I've been into a few places nowadays, because I was going with other people mostly, and normally children would be involved, and they go, well, we love this place that does this Asian style food, and I'd go in and I'd be a right grump. I'd be picking about it and like finding as many faults as possible. And I remember one of my exes saying to me, it was like, so what don't you like about it? And I said, well, it tastes like Asian food cooked by white people. And she said, well, that's exactly what it is. And I said, but why would you, if you've got the option of having Asian food cooked by Asian people, why would you pick the Asian food cooked by white people?
It's a good question.
Because the Asian food cooked by Asian people is much tastier.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So what's the difference then? What are white people doing to ruin Asian food?
They don't know what it's supposed to taste like. They're following recipes. on bits of paper, laminated folders full of them, probably. And
recipes written by Asian people, presumably.
Presumably, yeah, but they don't understand how to season stuff properly. They don't understand the sort of interplay between flavours and textures and that sort of thing.
So they don't know what they're looking for.
No, my brother once was out in Asia, and he said he went for a roast dinner in a hotel in Asia, probably Malaysia or Vietnam or something.
So is it the difference? Is it the difference between playing with Lego and being an architect?
I don't know. But my brother's roast dinner out there, I said to him, so what was it like? He said, well, I went for this roast dinner, and because they must be putting it on for Westerners going over. And it came out and it looked like a roast dinner, because they'd obviously had photos of roast dinners that they could study. And he said, but it tasted of Asian stuff. So it's a bit like Western people cooking Asian food over here. So it looks like Asian food.
Do you know who you're sounding like?
No.
Uncle Roger.
No, I am so much like Uncle Roger. When he first came on the scene, a number of people commented.
Hiya.
He said basically he's exactly like you, ranting on about it. Going, no, you can't do it like that. Me and my dad used to argue about this all the time as well.
I love Uncle Roger.
Like, no, he's I am very similar in many ways to Uncle Roger. I don't have an orange shirt. Or a phone pouch.
No, Uncle Roger loves MSG.
He does. I put MSG in food.
You do? You're okay with MSG?
Yeah, it's fine. Natural.
Okay.
Complete natural ingredient, MSG. Well, it was originally. I guess they make it in factories now.
Now, this is a bit of a paradox, isn't it? Because isn't it the one thing that white people criticise Chinese food for is having too much MSG, thus de-authenticating it?
Western food is full of MSG.
Is it?
Yeah, they put it down as flavour enhancer on the ingredients.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's got quite a specific taste.
Okay. I'm not even sure what it is.
I think it's naturally occurring in all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
I think it originally came out of mushrooms. I think Japanese invented it or started extracting it and making it commercially. But no, it's
I know Uncle Roger loves it.
I am.
He
so
talks
much
about
like
rubbing it all over himself
to
improve himself.
No, me and Uncle Roger share our thoughts on Chinese food in the West, or any Asian food in the West.
He's not Chinese, is he?
He is. No, he is Chinese. He's ethnic Chinese, born in Malaysia.
Oh, right, okay.
Same as my family, who are ethnic Chinese from Malaysia.
Okay.
Also, Michelle Yeoh, the Oscar-winning person who won an Oscar for everything.
The Oscar-winning person who won an Oscar.
Everything, Everywhere, Always at Once.
Oh, yeah. I still haven't watched that.
It's very good.
Yeah,
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She's also Malaysian-born.
Okay.
Chinese, ethnic Chinese.
Okay. So, what are you going to do with them?
With who now?
These white chefs bastardising your food.
I think I would say to them...
Up against the wall!
Well, I would say to them... Right,
take your talking to.
What it comes from is going back into when people first started opening Chinese takeaways in this country, and the same with Indian restaurants, which aren't Indian generally, they're often Bangladeshi. And when they started getting popular in the sort of 70s, I suppose, they looked at their delicious, authentic food and thought, no way are people going to eat this. We're not going to sell any of this to people. They like cottage pie and faggots and things like that. So therefore they tried to make it add what they thought were Western things, Western influences into it, like sauce and gravy,
bamboo shoots.
No, they do use bamboo shoots actually, but and it all got so sort of made so bland and lowest common denominator, and that's just continued through.
I must admit, I don't get excited by Chinese food.
You've been eating the wrong Chinese food.
I know that. I know. If I go to a good Chinese restaurant...
I'll take you sometime.
There's one near here, the Happy Garden.
Happy Gathering?
Happy Gathering,
I'm often in there eating dim sum on a Sunday.
Yeah. So that I know has a reputation for being a good Chinese restaurant. Do you think they have 2 menus?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, those bastards.
I mean, if you count the dim sum... if you count the dim sum menu as well, there's 3. They often put like 4 menus on the table when I go there.
Are have I understood this correctly? They're deliberately concealing these other menus because they've got better food on them.
Yes. Well, the food that they think white people wouldn't like initially.
Okay.
So when I go there, I often go on Sunday lunchtime for dim sum.
Can I come to the Happy Gathering with you?
You can come for dim sum with me tomorrow if you want.
I can't tomorrow. I'm working.
Some other time.
Okay.
So it's like Sunday lunch for Chinese people.
Okay.
I often go with my daughter and various other friends. And so we go in and sit down.
Dim sum is the...
It's just little nibbly things. It's small plates and...
things
dumplings.
That's it,
I mean, that's one of them.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic way of eating. So we go in, and it's full of Chinese people with all their children. And you sit down, and on the table, there'll be the wine list. I don't normally have wine with my dim sum.
How many wine lists?
I've had Chinese wine. It wasn't fantastic. And then you have a dim sum menu, which is like a tick sheet. So it's got the list of dim sum on there, and you check the ones you want. And then you get the Western menu, which is your sweet and sours, and your set menu for 4, and stuff like that. And then you get...
That's my partner's menu.
You get a Chinese menu, which is normally in Chinese, but they might do a white person's English one as well. And you also get another menu, which just got rice and noodles on it.
Okay. How would you feel if you found out there was another menu?
They wouldn't give it to me because I'm only half Chinese.
Yeah.
I'd kick up a storm.
How do you think I feel to find out there's 3 other menus?
I can't believe you've only just found out about this. I thought
why would I know?
Oh, everybody knew that.
Why would everybody know?
Need to go. I'll take you for dim sum.
Yeah, do it. But why would everybody know? They're clearly trying to keep it from us.
It's tradition. It's because they assume that people wouldn't eat it, so they kept it all.
Well, I might not now, out of principle.
I remember, I used to cook for old people sometimes when I was a chef in like retirement homes and day centres and stuff, and they would view anything that wasn't British food, in inverted commas, with massive suspicion.
Does this happen in other cultures? If I go into Domino's and I ask to see the real menu,
the authentic Italian menu, when they start bringing out sourdough bases and expensive Parma ham and things like that, it might do.
I bet it doesn't.
It's unlikely though. No, more people should have. More people, well, one should eat proper Chinese food, and therefore they would like it more than the.
I think I would. Yeah, I mean it all tastes fairly generic to me.
It all tastes the same, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I don't really get excited by it, but I do know that good Chinese food can taste much better.
It's like heaven.
My sister's ex-husband was from Pakistan, and his family used to, like, when they married, and I went to an Indian wedding for the first time, and I was like, my God, this is nothing like.
Yeah.
And the stuff they cooked, and that's how I cook or try to cook at home now, and I try and follow those sort of more traditional recipes. But
it's much easier to get hold of the ingredients these days. And also get a hold of the instructions of how to cook it, because we have YouTube and Google.
So we're not killing white chefs that cook Chinese food. We're just giving them a damn good talking to.
Bloody good talk to, and educating the public. Because then, if they've got the demand for this stuff, then they're going to make more of it.
And we're going to, in your tyranny, you're going to force Chinese people to cook in Chinese restaurants and takeaways.
Oh, I'm going to force restaurants to employ Chinese people. I think that's a nicer way of putting it, as opposed to some sort of press ganging.
You dress it up any way you like, mate. It's bloody tyranny. Okay, well, I'm down with that because that suits me. I think I would like that Chinese food more. More
multicultural, better food for all.
Get the white guy to deliver it.
Well, quite right. Yeah. On his little scooter, possibly. Zipping around on the pavement.
Yes. I think I like that. Well, I think it's been an interesting insight into your world, Rob.
Thank you. Sorry I wasn't angrier and more violent.
That's all right. That's all right. I think it's the world we're living in with you in charge is largely unchanged, but ideologically more sound.
Hopefully.
I think.
Yes.
I think. Thank you for allowing me to exist in it.
Thank you for inviting me.
That's all right. And long live the king.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.